And we are back, because if COVID can't keep me from the stuff I have to do to make a living, it's damn sure not going to keep me from doing one of the few parts I actually still completely enjoy about my ridiculous profession. Anyway, let's start this year's festivities off with a feature whose trailer you might have seen make its way around the web a few times before.
Thunder of gigantic serpent. The horror of science gone wrong as a secret formula is abused. Thunder of gigantic serpent. A power-hungry maniac starts a chain of events that almost destroys the world. Thunder of gigantic serpent. A monster is unleashed and leaves a trail of devastation and death. Thunder of gigantic serpent. Can a lesson be learned from a terrible mistake? Or is it too late? Thunder of gigantic serpent. Don't miss it. See it soon on your screen.
Okay, so 1988's, we think, Thunder of Gigantic Serpent is a Joseph Lai and Betty Chan production out of Hong Kong, which means despite the on-screen credits giving the director's name as Charles Lee, the actual person responsible was most likely one Godfrey Ho, sometimes called the Ed Wood of Asia, and most popularly known for somewhere well north of 150 movies, all with some version of the word ninja in the title, and often starring, in an extremely loose sense of the word, then former B-movie icon Richard Harrison. Kind of. See, while Ed Wood's infamy as an icon of uniquely inept but also uniquely charming and bad films of the American exploitation era was known for a while, Ho, as far as anyone knows, a mainstream of the Shaw Brothers assistant director pool in the 60s and 70s, who teamed up with producing partners Joseph Lai and Betty Chan, also his future wife, in the 70s and 80s to cash in on the international budget movie and home video craze by cranking out genre content as a fairly shrewd, clear-eyed business strategy. Picked up this comparison there too when the internet rediscovered his prolific filmography over a decade later, and the parallel itself seems to be drawn less from any similarity between the two men's actual careers or output than this possibly apocryphal scene about Wood's penchant for creatively employing stock footage in Tim Burton's 1995 biopic.
This is fantastic. What are you going to do with it?
Probably file it away and never see it again.
Oh, it's such a waste. Why, if I had half the chance, I could make an entire movie using this stock footage. The story opens on these mysterious explosions. Nobody knows what's causing them, but it's upsetting all the buffalo. So the military are called in to solve the mystery.
You forgot the octopus.
No, I'm saving that for my big underwater climax.
To wit, Ho and Lai's angle in the 80s was, while also here and there actually making a coherent movie on purpose, to also put the assembled crews of actors and stunt people to work shooting sequences of shootouts, car chases, fistfights, explosions, people getting roughed up, general business happening that looked interchangeable, scenes from a movie-esque, and lots of ninja fighting, because everyone should have an angle, that could be cut up and spliced together along with stock footage, scenes to be shot later, or even unrelated whole other movies purchased for remarketing from Taiwan, the mainland, Japan, or elsewhere in East Asia, and redubbed, usually into distribution-friendly English, to create entire quote-unquote new movies, usually but not always about ninjas in some way, which could then be repackaged and resold in bulk on the international market. Thunder of Gigantic Serpent would be one of the not always examples, apparently repurposing most of a Taiwanese-made kaiju movie from 1984 called King of Snakes, though it's not 100% clear how much was actually added or subtracted one way or another, i.e. in this scenario, Lai and Ho may have actually simply recut all or most of one of their own earlier productions. It's just not clear. However it got here, the finished result is about what you might expect from the same team that gave us Robo-Vampire, a slammed-together fusion of a Gamera movie, a mad science thriller, and a violent spies versus gangster movie that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but at least moves nice and fast while not doing so.
I didn't expect it to be moving so fast.
thing you can't say about Godfrey Ho movies is that they don't know how to work with economy of dialogue.
You're just in time. We're in real trouble. Now, about this terrorist group. I know the head man is Solomon, but that's about it. Do you have anything else on him or his group? Not at all. Oh, well, I'll see what I can come up with.
You see, whatever was being said by the characters originally, in the final version, the point was always going to be get the exposition out, constantly reestablish who everyone was, what was happening, what the characters and audience were supposed to be feeling, and what the immediate point of the scene was supposed to be as directly as possible to help keep that illusion of coherency going.
This formula means infinite power. I must have it.
Yes, then people will start listening to us.
Yes.
Which has the joint watchability increasing factor of making things really move in terms of momentum, and now retroactively making every dialogue exchange sound hilariously similar to the Ollie Williams gags from Family Guy.
Your new formula. It successfully worked on plants. I knew it would.
Ollie?
It's raining sideways!
Sounds rough, Ollie. Do you have an umbrella?
Had one!
Where is it?
Inside out, 2 miles away!
Is there anything we can do for you?
Bring me some soup!
What kind?
Chunky!
Dr. T, forget about the plants. Proceed with Thunder Project.
Everybody looks like ants!
Probably because you're up so high.
I object. You have no say now. Then I want my formula back. That's not possible.
How are you beating the heat, Ollie?
Swimming hole!
So anyway, after establishing that our plot will be driven by a clash between an undefined military team consisting of whichever unit from whichever country wears red berets and store-bought Harley-Davidson patches as their uniforms versus some guy in a tracksuit who was apparently out to steal the formula in order to make the apparent career jump from random white guy gangster somewhere in South Asia to literal supervillain.
Bring me the formula, and bring it back to me.
Will do.
Once I get the formula, I will be in control of the world's food production. Think of the power I will have. Ha! Every nation on Earth will bow to my will.
Okay, I mean, even Cobra Commander started somewhere, right? The formula, though, actually refers to a government-funded covert operation whereby people in lab coats have developed a transparent acrylic box that makes things bigger when you pump it full of mad scientist stuff.
Dr. T, forget about the plants. Proceed with Thunder Project.
Yes, sir.
What Thunder Project? It's a national secret.
You can go ahead and feed the information into the computer and we'll start right away.
It's already programmed. Dr. T, we can proceed as soon as you like.
All right. Well, team, let's get started then. Miss Lynn, please put the frog in the chamber right away.
All right.
Apply the voltage.
Okay. Dr. T, we've succeeded. It's just amazing.
I never dreamed.
In order to protect Project Thunder and stop the bad guy, who about midway through they decide to tell us his name's Solomon, the government has called in frequent Ho collaborator Pierre Kirby, aka the Pink Guy from Full Metal Ninja, as Ted Fast, the agent who works alone.
Boss, they sent a special agent to deal with us. Who the hell is the guy?
His name is Ted Fast. He's a highly trained specialist. And he always works alone.
He must be pretty good then. I don't want him to mess up our plans. Go take care of him.
Right. That's the guy. So let's get him.
Oh, you might have noticed the copy I had to work with here has burned-in subtitles in neither English nor Chinese. I have no idea. It seems to be the best available transfer of this around.
Boss, that Ted guy killed Peter.
Shit, he is good then. He's gonna be a real problem for us.
I've already told Ted to deal with him, but he might need some help. General, we'll do our best to help him. Colonel Fan. Sir. Ted is most effective when he works alone. In that case, I can only help him by giving him information. The rest is up to him then.
Fuck off. Who the hell are you?
Fast. Ted Fast. You heard of me.
Anyway, elsewhere in the wasn't this movie about a snake part of the film, a little girl, seemingly unconnected to the storyline otherwise, is in a rough time of things because she's running out of places to hide her pet snake Mozla from her parents, who she's pretty sure won't let her keep it because snake.
I'm making a bow for you. Looks good on you. Do you like it?
And also more generally because it looks like the outdoor toy situation in 1988 Taiwan was not wonderful. What are these things? I feel like whatever they aren't working or being used properly. But you see where this is going. The bad guys try to steal the embiggening box, but it gets lost.
Come on!
Johnny!
The little girl finds it and decides to use it for a snake tank, causing Mozla to grow into a still domesticated but now anaconda-sized snake. We space out Act 2, cutting between Army vs. Gangster shootouts and E.T./Iron Giant business.
Ted's coming! Oh.
Let's play. Bounce the ball back to me, okay? That was good. Now try again. Oh! Ken Fong.
So, Lynn, you still remember me?
Of course.
Go down!
Hey, come on over. I've got some food for you. Catch this one, huh?
Don't move! Get away from that monster!
Pop, he's my friend. He doesn't mean any harm. He's my pet.
Come here, Teen!
Oh, Pop, promise you won't hit him. How can he be your pet? He's been my pet for a long time now. His name is Monster.
Until someone figures out that the giant snake might have something to do with the missing Make Things Gigantic box.
But it's an empty box. Where's the formula?
The formula is probably with the girl. Find her.
Hey, Billy, what about that gigantic snake that's always with her, huh?
And we're off to the advertised kaiju destruction disaster movie Act 3 as the girl gets kidnapped and Mozla enlarges again to Godzilla size to try and rescue her and or protect her, but also ends up destroying most of a city and killing who knows how many people while doing so, causing the military to call in the big guns because I guess they flipped the coin and landed on King Kong's sad ending.
Can't even hold on to a kid.
Did you get rid of that fucking snake yet?
There's a problem.
Oh, yeah?
The snake's changed. It's even bigger now. So I think it's best if you send out the plane. Over.
He gonna get it!
Billy, there's the plane.
Come on, let's go.
Hurry, hurry!
those innocent lives.
What should we do?
Holy shit. The damn snake's here now.
Monster, come save me!
Because yeah, if there's one aspect that really sets Thunder of Gigantic Serpent apart from other movies in its genre, apart from the expected absurdity that comes with being a Godfrey Ho, Joseph Lai, Betty Chan movie in general, it's that for something that was nakedly thrown together as the analog version of an algorithmic YouTube mashup in terms of just get marketable product in front of eyeballs, it goes bizarrely hard on ending on just the most unsentimental, nihilistic note possible.
The fighters should be in the air now. We're all gonna die when the bombing stops. There's a little girl in that building, along with Inspector Shao. What's that? Right now?
Please, you have to save my daughter,
It's too late. The fighters have taken off. Oh, God! My daughter's in that building!
Can you tell the Air Force to hold off for a while?
No way. We can't wait. The opportunity's too good.
You can't! You just can't! You'll be responsible for murdering my daughter!
What do we do now? Tony, what do we do?
Mosla gets violently blown up because, hey, giant serpent, dangerous.
Mosler, come down! Mosler! Mosler, hurry! Mosler! Come on, I want to kill you! Mosler!
The kid is inconsolable about it.
Mosler, you can't die. Mosler, you can't die. Mosler, can you hear me? I'm Ting, can't you hear me?
The various grown-ups are mostly assholes about it to her.
Ed's dead now. Mosler's dead.
No, he's not dead. He's not dead. He's not dead. He's not dead. Mom! Mosler's gonna die. Please help to save him. Go and save him. Please stop it.
Please, Ting Ting, listen.
Come on, you help me.
Ting Ting, don't, please.
Come on, please. Come on, Mosler's gonna die. Come on, you can save him. Please help him. Please. Listen to me. Mosler's dead. There's nothing you can do about it. It's all over now. Do you understand me? It's over now.
She's pissed off at them.
You're lying. You're lying. It's all your fault. All your fault. Why did you order the plane to kill him?
Oh, girl. He was dangerous, don't you understand?
No, he was coming to save me. He's not dangerous.
Ting Ting, be a good girl, will you, Ting Ting?
No, why should I? Why should I?
Ting Ting.
I don't want to.
Ting Ting.
Voice of reason characters, instead of doing a common ground philosophical thing, are all very all of y'all about the whole situation.
Look at what your experiment led to. It could have been avoided, you know that. If only you had trusted us. I hope you've learned a good lesson. Too late for that now. Your words are useless. General, that's for the innocent lives.
Don't cry, it's gonna make me cry. Ah! I cry like Snoopy. Ah!
And then that's not even the real ending, because they sold these as action movies, so it still has to go out on Ted Fast in a showdown with Solomon for some reason nobody cares about.
Go on, shoot. Make my day, punk. Looks like a stalemate. Fast. I don't need weapons against you, Solomon. I agree.
Have enough! Come on!
As I said, like just about everything else the assembled parties ever put their names on, Thunder of Gigantic Serpent is the true definition of schlock entertainment. It's weird yet compelling because it wasn't trying to be weird or compelling. It was designed just to exist, to count as enough of a monster movie to fill the empty space on the monster movie shelf when there was one. The thing is, you really can't stop creative people from being creative, even when there's a question of whether or not they're any good at it. And sometimes the result of fun by accident works better than attempts at good on purpose.
Hello? General, this is Ted. You better call out your army fast. That snake is headed your way.
Huh?
What's going on in there, Ollie?
He came back!
How is he?
Man!
Thanks, Ollie.
You know, whenever the history of this particular moment in motion picture history is written, a theme that will surely dominate is whatever ultimately became of the phenomenon of the cinematic universe, a trend started by Marvel Studios, imitated by everyone else, and successfully imitated by... Nobody else has really managed to make this work. Exactly why that is, would be, and has been another show for another time, but what can likely be agreed is that the biggest failure among the many failures to imitate the Marvel model was Universal's disastrous Dark Universe project, which would look for all the world like an obvious organized crime money laundering scheme or an even more obvious Argo-style CIA front operation, say that they spent and lost too much actual money on it. Born of a pretty good idea, i.e. let's relaunch the Universal Monsters brand as a 21st century horror, sci-fi, superhero action crossover franchise, the project quickly spiraled out of control by making every mistake that the template they were supposedly trying to both follow and outgame had previously avoided, spending too much money up front, and overpromising in the form of hiring big-name megastars and directors before they'd even locked scripts and full projects, making everything way more complicated than it needed to be before they even knew if anyone cared, and then forgetting to make good movies instead of elaborate mythology.
Who are you?
My name is Jekyll. Dr. Henry Jekyll.
Welcome to Prodigium, Mr. Morton. From the Latin, monstrum vel prodigium. A warning of monsters.
Princess Aminet selected you as the vessel for the ultimate evil.
And then when that failed, they shut it down right away and said, okay, let's try again, but now we're gonna let the low-budget horror guys at Blumhouse do whatever and see what happens, and got exactly one pretty good movie out of it.
I'm scared.
You don't have to be scared of him anymore.
He was a sociopath, completely in control of everything. He said that wherever I went, he would find me.
And then there was a pandemic, and now who even knows what's going on. About the only thing they did right off the bat was lead off with a wholly different take on how to portray the Mummy in The Mummy. I mean, if there was at least some clear room to move things around when it came to the Universal horrors, it's that the films were made in the 30s and 40s, so the general cast could certainly stand a boost in the diversity department if these films were going to connect with a global 21st century audience, plus you get a broader canvas of mythology and aesthetic to work from as a bonus. Meanwhile, had you not previously considered, I guess most of the Universal monsters do more or less default to white guys where applicable, and now see fit to ask, but by chance were there exceptions to that outside of the Bride of Frankenstein, who's really only at the very end of her own movie? Well, yes there were, but it's uncomfortable and complicated.
Suppose your experiment does succeed. What will you have? A human form with animal instincts.
You know what the police will do to you if they catch you? No, of course you don't. They put you on trial. Then they'll put you in the electric chair and kill you.
Creature of evil, running amok, blazing a trail of fear-crazed horror. From the jungle's most guarded secret comes this amazing story of a captive wild woman, torn between the mad cravings of animal blood and the longing for human love. A woman whose jungle instincts give her sinister power over man and beast.
Alright, so the Ape Woman is one of the universal horrors that people don't really remember the same way they do Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, Invisible Man, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, but then again, people have a skewed view of the franchise anyway, like the fact that all of the films got sequels of depreciating quality, not just Bride of Frankenstein, and there were dozens of one-off features that were just murder mysteries or movies about gruesome stuff going on, so the general existence of lower-tier monsters like the Ape Woman or Rondo Hatton's The Creeper shouldn't be all that surprising. In any case, the main reasons people don't remember it is because the movies aren't very good, and they skewed slightly more adult than many of the others, running comparatively low on special effects and shock sequences, and instead relying on sex appeal and scandalous for the time quasi-taboo subject matter, i.e. winking at the audience about stuff the movie couldn't say or show you, but you know what it was talking about.
Hubba hubba.
Look, folks, people were doing what they could, alright? They hadn't really invented porn yet, and even if they had, it was the 40s. They'd only come up with like a dozen positions, and waxing wouldn't exist for another 4 decades, so would you have even wanted them to?
Velcro brand solutions are the hidden hero in products that define our lives every single day.
But alright, the lead-off feature was 1943's Captive Wild Woman. If there was ever a humdinger of a title that told you exactly what the appeal and to whom in the parlance of the time, boy howdy would that be it.
Hubba hubba.
Which is basically the brand putting Frankenstein, Wolfman, and any of a dozen generic mad scientist and gorilla on the loose movies also kicking around the franchise at the time in a cocktail shaker with a few extra shots of the sexy and seeing if it tastes like anything, which is also kind of all we get for the setup because in 1943 the first feature on a double bill could still be an hour long, so the best you're getting for story is that the great John Carradine, the actor who prior to Eric Roberts still held the record for the most screen credits of any living actor and is still widely believed to have had the most roles if his uncredited work was ever completely counted for. The dude just never stopped working.
Him legend.
Is here playing a mad surgeon who swaps out organs between species just to see what it might accomplish.
Dr. Sigmund Walters of Crestview Sanitarium has furthered not 1 but 3 attempts at racial improvement.
Oh no!
For he has discovered vitamin E2, which he believes determines the physical characteristics of all forms of animal life.
No, it doesn't.
Thumbing through the book, I ran across some of the most fantastic achievements of this Dr. Walters, such as a hand 3 times as large as it should be reduced to normal, a completely deformed child corrected by his glandular treatments. It described in words I didn't understand how he changed a man's distorted features.
Not how that works. And again, oh no!
Well, what seems to be the trouble?
Well, Dorothy's been losing weight all season. We thought maybe it was overwork and...
Please, continue.
There isn't much else to tell. At the close of the season, a few days ago, she suddenly collapsed. The doctors thought it was a glandular disorder and recommended that we bring her to you.
Most ailments are traceable to glandular disorders. Will you prepare Miss Coleman for examination, if you please?
Your weekly reminder, the past was terrible.
It's been proved beyond doubt that glands can transform physical matter into any size, shape, or appearance.
Yes, that's true.
If we've been able to create, through the medium of glandular extraction, such specimens as we have, what's to prevent us transfusing these glandular extractions from a human being into a higher type of animal?
The authorities. They wouldn't permit it.
I see you're not truly a scientist at heart, Miss Strand. The things we're trying to do, one must be daring.
Once more, not how any of this works. And also once more, yeah, all the spoofs you've seen were not exaggerating that much. Movies and the world both used to really be like this. So he gets himself a gorilla, puts some human glands in where the ape glands should be, and this causes it to morph into a hot chick. Wouldn't you just know it? But since this is still just a hot chick-shaped gorilla, technically, he then kills one of his female henchwomen to give his creation a human brain. Oh, he's the bad guy. Might have forgotten to make that clear.
I can't afford that. But you're a woman with a very receptive mind.
No.
You're right. The cerebrum is essential to the success of this experiment.
No!
No, don't stop!
Which, since we're playing by the always surprisingly more sensible than many modern versions of the mad science brain-swapping logic Frankenstein rules, means she gets human-level intelligence, but otherwise a blank brain instead of all the dead woman's memories or anything, so basically a whole new person that the evil doctor names Paula Dupree. And yeah, this is meant to be a creepy but sexy, but also sleazy and therefore more creepy because implicitly taboo quote-unquote horror angle for the atmosphere.
Do you remember what happened? Do you remember anything from your past life? Your mind is my mind. Your every thought is my thought. What I tell you to do, you will do. What I tell you not to do, you will not do.
What will you have? A human form with animal instincts.
The beautiful, mysterious, socially unconventional woman is actually not human but an animal, altered to appear human enough through the evils of unethical science, with an extra implied layer of omnipresent, ooh, naughty naughty, caught you looking, by virtue of Paula herself being played by one-name actress Aquanetta, a then ubiquitous model actress and pinup fixture billed as an exotic beauty in the exact context you're probably guessing, at the time, i.e. exotic being publicly acceptable 1940s slang for we are fetishizing the fact that we're pretty sure that this is a white passing woman of color, we just aren't 100% sure which color.
Hey baby, how'd you like to go black and then have to make a difficult decision regarding whether or not to go back?
Sorry, I went burnt sienna and never went back.
Ready, baby? Who's this clown?
We still don't actually know for sure, incidentally. I mean, at this point, it's generally thought that Aquanetta was actually a black woman named Mildred Davenport who emancipated herself from a series of questionable-sounding foster situations as a teenager in the Midwest and reinvented herself as an aspiring actress under a number of elaborate assumed identities, most prominently claiming for the majority of her public life to have been an orphan of indigenous Arapaho Indian descent named Brunu Aquanetta, but prior to that having broken into the model actress life masquerading as a Latin American bombshell nicknamed the Venezuelan Volcano. Accounts of her likelier African-American origins primarily circulated in the black alternative entertainment media of the day, where coverage of presumed to be passing famous names was a popular subject of feature gossip. So that would be the big reason in any case why Universal isn't ever really in a big hurry to remind people, oh hey, yeah, actually one of the Universal monsters was a woman and a woman of color at that.
They seem to be afraid of something.
Because the monster part of Paula the Ape Woman concept is trading on Aquanetta's exotic racial ambiguity for both its ooh, that's different, but also ooh, but too different, sexy, dangerous draw and repulsion for white audiences, and direct parallel with the more blunt miscegenation panic metaphor.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? Inherent in the fact of Paula being an actual animal who, since this is a monster movie, we know is eventually going to start heading in the, well, she seemed like a normal woman, but on further inspection...
What?
Yep, folks, that's real. I didn't, edit it up. I know it looks like I'm doing some kinda what if Tucker Carlson made Cloud Atlas a bit?
I just love that. Oh, it's the best. Glenn Greenwald. I can't overstate how...
But nope, that's really the movie. This is a scary sci-fi horror concept for this franchise. Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. And also implies, metaphorically, holy f***ing shit.
Ooh.
Yeah, wow. If you can pull your jaws off the floor on why would they do this long enough to wonder how did they do that, since it's actually a pretty subtle effect, it was probably done in camera by applying a bright, distinct color makeup, probably blue, to Aquanetta's face and hands, and then putting a color wash spotlight in the same shade on her while filming, which would cause it to appear the same hue as the rest of her skin and surroundings when captured on the black and white film stock, and then magically appear in real time on that same film stock when the color wash spotlight was turned off with the main camera still rolling. You can actually do this with modern cameras, you'll just sometimes have to turn off the digital correction features that are meant to correct that in camera automatically. But yeah, we're otherwise still really doing a full-blown Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman dissolve from ethnically ambiguous woman to, oh my, she's black, as a monster transformation reveal for a character who's meant to be a gorilla secretly impersonating a human. So, yikes. The meat of the plot, such as it is, involves Paula getting herself a circus animal trainer job because, as it turns out, she's retained an almost psychic ability to communicate with her fellow jungle creatures. This leads to a tragic love triangle where she falls for a fellow performer, becomes jealous of his fiancée, tries to kill her, and, well, guess what happens when she gets mad and or excited?
Congratulations. You're excellent. Oh, Thank you, sir. Fred, we're over the hurdles. It's only a question of how long we want to keep the show going.
You know what the police will do to you if they catch you? No, of course you don't. I have myself partly to blame. I should have kept you under constant observation. That's right, look at them. Now I have to do it all over again. Graft new glands into your body. Maybe another brain operation. Take another life to keep you in human form.
Where's my sister? I've just come from her room and she's not up there.
You see, Miss Coleman, you're about to witness something which no mortal eyes but mine have ever seen. The transformation of an animal into a human being.
You can't do this. I won't let you.
Oh, Mr. Whipple. The storm is beginning to break. Get men on all the exits and keep things rolling as usual. Yes, sir. Hurry up, get the veterinary. Yeah, I'm all right. They're not deep slashes. We've got some help coming on the way.
And so, behind these gates is buried the legend of a mortal who went beyond the realm of human powers and tampered with things no man should ever touch.
Okay, needlessly bummer ending number 2 for this year, or at least you'd think so, but the feature was successful enough, and with her star on the rise, such as it was, Aquanetta returned as the Ape Woman a year later in a sequel called Jungle Woman, which had the character revived by more evil scientists for what's mostly a courtroom detective movie, but also mostly repurposes footage from the previous film, because that's also something you could get away with making hour-long supporting feature movies in the 1940s. After that, the actress moved on to slightly bigger B-movie roles, so Vicky Lane stepped in to play the non-ape scenes as Paula in the final installment, Jungle Captive, which made up for star power by bringing in Rondo Hatton himself as the villain and using most of the original footage for the first time in the series.
Wait a minute. I gotta check with the police first.
Police?
Yeah, it's the law.
Where are you keeping the Ape Woman?
Right over here. You want to see her?
Yeah. It's Fred.
Now, please let me out of here.
Anne, I need you.
What do you mean?
I need your blood.
Yeah, none of these are good, and the subtext to them now renders them alternately unintentionally funny and disturbing, but they're certainly a unique relic in terms of how blatant the sell was when it came to audiences' sketchier impulses back in the day. For her own part, Aquanetta, whatever her actual name and origins were, did in fact seem to secure the bag during her relatively brief run as a B-movie icon before leaving the film industry and marrying Arizona auto sales legend, philanthropist, prominent environmentalist, and Democrat political mainstay Jack Ross in the 1950s, then attaining a second wave of fame and appearing in his TV commercials and her own local TV series after that. They had 4 sons and were married for 30 years before divorcing in the 1980s. She passed away from complications relating to Alzheimer's in 2004. And yeah, that's the Ape Woman trilogy. The Universal Monster franchise probably not on its way to a comeback, even if they do figure that whole thing out. Not all facets of schlock history are pretty, but they are often compelling. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture. I know it's become cliche to say it can always get stupider regarding the state of our world, but in case you needed a major reminder, it recently came in the form of the second stupidest American presidential election in history still being performatively litigated for no reason, with no real purpose, with no actual consequence or sanction, and that the complaining party had farmed out the task of data investigation for such a task to a firm which literally referred to itself as
Cyber Ninjas. Cyber Ninjas.
Cyber Ninjas.
Cyber Ninjas. Cyber Ninja.
Cyber Ninja.
Cyber Ninjas.
A Florida cybersecurity firm called Cyber Ninjas.
Remember the guy in the cowboy hat? He works for Cyber Ninjas.
The CEO of Cyber Ninjas.
I know you guys want to paste me as like some bad guy in here. I'm involved in this and putting everything on the line with my company because I care about our country.
Which, okay, is in fact funny just in itself, but also might have sounded vaguely familiar if you happen to be from the video store back shelves generation. Yeah? No? Well, I am, and it's one of those that won't need nearly as much scripting as others from this year, so...
Critics and sci-fi fans around the world are blown away by Cyber Ninja. Non-stop special effects. Reminiscent of Star Wars. A sci-fi samurai. Deliciously original.
Look out! Your worthless human soul has been woven into this fortress of demons. The two of us could make quite a team. What do you say, Cyber Ninja?
Neither man nor machine. Cyber Ninja.
Okay, so Cyber Ninja was the US release title for Mariah Ninja, which was, is, and remains most notable for being a standalone live-action feature film directed by Kita Amamiya that was released in the West in 1988 and was a period when those facts did not frequently align simultaneously. Amamiya is one of the living legends of Japan's tokusatsu genre TV world in the field of character design, directing, concept creation, art design. He's been a part of the Kamen Rider and Metal Heroes franchises for decades, created the Garo series. For those of you who've ever wondered, does Japanese TV have like an angsty, sexed-up teenager version of this stuff like we do with the CW? Yeah. It looks like that. And he's also a prolific presence in the world of video games, having done monster, armor, and art designs for Final Fantasy, Schlocktober, Onimusha, Shin Megami Tensei, just lots of stuff. Mariah Ninja was where those worlds first crossed over for him, and where he got to spread his wings into what became a successful run of bringing his unique design aesthetic and its useful marrying with tokusatsu tropes together in a run of slightly better known films like Zeram, Moon Over Tau, and Mechanical Violator Hokkaido. But it started here with Namco's 1988 arcade title Mariah Ninja. It means future ninja, or ninja from the future, basically. Which, unless you were on the bleeding edge of the import scene at the time, you probably didn't see when it was new because it was only released in Japan, but it was... yeah, Shinobi with a proto-Edo-punk thing happening, basically. It's not 100% clear in the history of this whether they decided the property should be a game or a movie first, but someone at Namco was definitely sold on this being a potentially big franchise, and Amamiya, as mentioned, was doing double duty in the world of video games and TV design, and this became his project. In any case, our setting is future past Japan, and our story is, well, as the trailer mentioned...
It's reminiscent of Star Wars.
Yeah, though in this case, turnabout is kinda fair play, sure. There's two clans at war, the evil one of which clearly has the upper hand because they also employ demonic cyborg robot monsters, and in general, just a lot more crazy weapons and such, and the story opens with the good guys taking a giant ass-kicking. That kills the best warrior in the local village, or at least we think he's dead. His distraught younger brother only ever finds his sword, no body. A plot point which I'm sure we will not revisit immediately or anything like that. Zipping ahead several years, the good guys have regrouped to a remote village where it turns out we're doing a reverse on the Star Wars Hidden Fortress lift, and that it's the heroes who constructed a ginormous doomsday gun, and the mission that the main character will eventually go on to find the villain's secret base is all about telling their compatriots where to point the gun, since it turns out there's a countdown running on the villains collecting enough human blood to fill up an evil tree and awaken their dark master. Isn't that always the way? Oh, and they've also kidnapped a princess, but you knew that going in.
You don't like my hospitality?
How I detest you.
It'll all be over tomorrow at noon.
And in the meantime, I suppose you'd like me to go to my death dressed this way. This is not appropriate attire for a warrior princess. I was too impatient. I can only blame myself.
Now I see. Just as I've heard. A warrior to the end.
Meanwhile, out in the forest, the villains are also preoccupied with attacks on their patrols by Shiranui the Cyber Ninja, whom we learn via awkwardly piecemealed out exposition over the course of the film, is a cyborg who is also a ninja built from the remains of a human, hey, I wonder if it's any specific human, who was one of them, but then turned against them for reasons, and now fights against them vigilante style, but is also mistrusted by the humans because he looks like a scary robot person.
If you move 1 inch from that spot, I cannot guarantee your life 1 second longer. The crest of the crane. So you must be the one they call Shiranui. But it's of no real importance who you are. My job is to stop all non-humans from going past this spot.
Anyway, the hero's top warrior agrees to lead a squad consisting of whoever can get their Dune-inspired yelling powers juiced up enough. Find the right pitch, Paul.
Take me with you! I'm not afraid to die!
Take me too! No, me!
I beg of you! I must avenge my brother's death. It's something that I must do.
All right, you're the fifth member.
And also the brother of the dead guy, who's definitely not still alive but stalking around as a mysterious cyber ninja, to go on a mission to infiltrate the fortress, get the princess, tell HQ exactly where to fire the giant cannon, etc., etc., etc. Eventually, they run into Cyber Ninja, who's also trying to break into the place because he thinks there's a chance he can reclaim his human soul from the bad guys and become mortal again. So they team up, and yeah, you might have noticed that Cyber Ninja is kind of a co-star in his own movie, which keeps feeling like it's going to be something that's going to pivot or mean something else narratively, and then doesn't really.
After all that's happened to you, do you really think you'd be accepted as a human again? You look like a machine. Even your kinsmen wouldn't know you.
You've betrayed your own clan.
Yurumaru!
There's a lot of fights, a showdown, a sort of revelation. The lieutenant bad guy who had a personal mat-on to fight Shiranui turns out to be the more formidable final boss than the main evil emperor guy. I don't think I'm giving too much away by saying they do take down the enemy fortress, though Cyber Ninja remains Cyber, so he can presumably appear in sequels that they did not eventually follow this with.
Are you? He couldn't be.
Well, just let it go.
Plot, of course, is secondary concern, if even that. In 1988, the point was longtime TV tokusatsu pros stretching their creative muscles at a feature with even more slightly grown-up edge to its action scope. So while a lot of this may look somewhat commonplace for the genre now, it was all pretty novel at the time, and it does look pretty goddamn cool. Particularly seeing the extra suitmation detail added in the mechanics for how Shiranui's superhuman abilities work, and the various sci-fi weapons, and as ever, Amamiya's too much detail is never enough design approach definitely makes some arresting bonkers visuals. I mean, you can absolutely see why a US distributor made an effort to get this brought over, and figured that the visuals and the novelty and the word ninja alone would get people to take a look, even though the genre had been dormant and overseas popular for years and the game hadn't been exported either. I mean, a couple years after Power Rangers, this probably would have popped huge, but that was still a couple years off. Today, it's sometimes seen as more of a footnote to better things the creators did later. As noted, Amamiya eventually got to turn darker grown-up tokusatsu into a whole brand with Garo, but before that, Toei had him and the other Kamen Rider heavies try out a gritty realism reimagining of that franchise in '92 as Shin Kamen Rider, no relation so far to the new film of the same name being assembled by Hideki Anno as a follow-up to Shin Ultraman and Shin Godzilla, featuring Amamiya's redesign of the main hero. Yeah, that's definitely different. And he eventually broke global mainstream with the Zerem movies and their anime spin-offs both getting big play on the Sci-Fi Channel in the 90s, though for my money, the best of his output in that era remained Mechanical Violator Hokkaider, a standalone feature that's sort of a good, evil, light, dark inversion spin-off of another Toku TV mainstay, Android Kikator, that recast one of that series' main antagonists into a dark anti-hero battling a dystopian fascist takeoff on a more conventional metal hero good guy.
I am Hokkaider, the one who destroys to bring justice.
It's mostly about motorcycles and shotguns. Kind of awesome.
If this piece is fictitious, I shall destroy it.
Most of these used to be somewhat difficult to find around. These days, not at much, even in the nice and legal sense. I think Hokkaider was just sitting on Tubi of all places for free last time I checked. But Mariah Ninja and the English Cyber Ninja dub are actually the exception. The Japanese version never got a proper release in the US and only sporadically came out elsewhere under alternate titles. I think it's Robo Ninja in the UK, and Cyber Ninja has been out of print for years. The only reason I was able to finally do this episode about it now was somehow one of those sketchy dump whatever prints we think we own, budget DVD bin at Walmart companies put out a release of 10 movies as the Ninja Collection Volume 1 that happened to have what looks like a VHS transfer of the 88 Cyber Ninja dub as one of its entries.
What's that? Cyber Ninja has escaped? I see.
This set is also now out of print and rose in collector value on the resale market when people found out it existed, since who knows, the people that made it actually own distribution rights to Cyber Ninja, but if you see it around, you might as well snap it up. Anyway, that's Cyber Ninja. If someone ever said timeliness was next to godliness, well, f*** them either way, but if they did say it, in any case, they were definitely not running a mostly one-man video operation at the tail end of a global pandemic. Anyway, let's inaugurate the first, and hopefully only, time we've had to cheat and cross out into Schlocktober with a genuine oddity out of Hong Kong. No particular reason behind there being so many movies from East Asia this year, by the way. It just kind of worked out that way. From Len Nai Kai, the madman behind previous Schlocktober staples, The Seventh Curse and the Story of Ricky, in this case another Chinese-produced adaptation of Japanese manga, Peacock King. Released in 1988 during what was something of a fad for Hong Kong, spitting out loose reworkings of popular comics, anime, and game out of Japan, sometimes even paying for the license to do so officially. This is based on Makoto Agano's Spirit Warrior series, which Sega Master System or Genesis owners of the era in the West may have been exposed to previously as Spellcaster or Mystic Defender, but otherwise, probably not, didn't exactly break out in the West. It's about a Buddhist exorcist named Kujaku, who is respectively a trifectant reincarnation of Mahamayuri, Lucifer, and Melitawus, the Yazidi Peacock Angel. So complicated, who travels the world fighting demons and, one has to assume, explaining his origin story.
I can travel through time and space, but not both at once.
The movie is not exactly what one would call a faithful adaptation, inventing a new Chinese member of the same demon-hunting monastic order as Kujaku named Peacock. It's better trying to not work out how the Japanese to Cantonese to myriad different English translation logic by which both of them are technically named Peacock, so just know that most English subtitled versions of this translate Kujaku into Lucky Fruit or Small Fruit instead, and just go with that, who happens to be chasing after the same outbreak of evil and be played by top-billed Hong Kong action comedy star Yen Bao, while Hiroshi Mikami plays Kujaku. The setup thus becomes kind of a buddy cop movie, but centered on a serious fish-out-of-water countryside Japanese guy, slick, cool, hustler Chinese big city guy dynamic.
喂，咁醜怪係咩鬼樣嚟㗎？係以前殯儀館嗰啲孤魂野鬼。溜冰鬥者皆陣列在前。咩話？咁啊玩完㗎啦！我都未出手，真係唔夠癮啊！其實我哋消滅佢哋嘅冤魂，係幫佢哋超度啫。唉，使唔使又品神咁麻煩啊？真係多姿整。乜你個人咁冇同情心㗎？哎呀，教訓我！我都係密宗出家人啊！咪以為淨係你識法術啊！我未使出我啲絕招咋。你都唔係日本人，又點會係密宗子弟？密宗係源自中國嘅西藏㗎。好，俾啲功夫仔你睇下。哼！我最憎人咁牙刷嘅。放馬過嚟啊！
喂，你兩個唔好咁啦，係咪食齋㗎
？As they team up to stop the forces of hell itself from breaking out of a soon-to-open portal under what turns out to be a Tokyo fashion store's expensive, easily possessed by demons animatronic dinosaur exhibit.
真係冇問題喎。係咁啊，真係奇怪喎。
So Doctor Strange, but he's two guys, so it's also Lethal Weapon and Ghostbusters in 1980s Hong Kong with Kung Fu and girls, girls, girls.
It's a movie.
Any good?
Very good. It won the Academy Award.
Oh, for what?
For best movie ever made.
The main connection to any storyline from the manga technically comes in at the beginning, though, in the form of Gloria Yip as Ashura the Hell Virgin, a girl who's technically the daughter of the underworld's head demon in charge, but who mostly wants to escape to Earth and be a regular carefree kid because this is a late 80s Hong Kong movie, so she's here to generate outdoor activity montages.
阿修羅，我知你喺附近。你乖乖地坐喺度，我買雪糕俾你食啊！
好啊。
馬修羅，你玩夠未？
Keeping her on the path of evil is Raga, a demoness who's here to rock 80s hair and morph into an impressive monster.
收落，我會慢慢炮製你嘅。
And she's all out of 80s hair. This is vintage Hong Kong action comedy fantasy of the era, so if you've experienced similar fare, you more or less know what you're in for between the bigger effects and big fight scenes, exotic locales, lowbrow slapstick, and lots of era-topical pop culture references, and fashion, product, commerce indulgence, with most of the character dynamics centered around the two heroes being alternately charmed and frustrated by their powerful yet childlike magical girl charge.
你係聖女，佢哋係凡人，點玩得埋啊？
咁冇人陪我玩啊！
如果你要玩嘅，好啊，我最多陪你玩啦。
孔雀，小心啊！殺咗佢！
阿修羅，記住你嘅本性係善良㗎。打開，阿修羅，
對唔住，我唔可以再陪你玩。
Things get more complicated when Gordon Liu shows up in Act 3 for a big guest star cameo as a human bad guy for more traditional fight scenes, leading basically a slightly more useless version of the Knights of Ren.
本教追查咗20幾年，卒之發現到當年叛徒嘅蹤跡，殺咗佢，仲要殺埋另一個叫孔雀嘅後生仔。公坤路呢件事關乎我哋教主地獄王嘅存亡，你即刻出發。
And it's actually kind of fun that this turns out to be probably the part that plays better for Westerners now than it did when this was new, since Liu has now done the, hey look, it's Gordon Liu show-off cameo thing for Quentin Tarantino a few times in Hollywood movies, so hey, now the joke works here too.
孔雀，你聽住，唔好俾佢出手。
好，我要為師父報仇。
Either way, it's a solid build for a big showdown with the impressively menacing Hell King himself, who has a very Thief of Baghdad genie thing going on as visual references go. For something that basically never even got considered for a wide Western release in its day, for being inaccessible and not having stars who'd broken out here at that time, this is actually a lot of fun, if mainly for the strangeness of it. I'd say you're unlikely to see anything else exactly like it, except they did technically do a sequel to this. And since we're already over time this year, be back in this spot next episode, maybe not necessarily next direct episode, but very shortly, and we'll do that one too. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture. And we are back with the 4 years later sequel to Lam Ngai's sort of Spirit Warrior adaptation Peacock King's Saga of the Phoenix, which is apparently slightly more well known on the interwebs in the West than its predecessor almost entirely because its translated title is accidentally similar to that one X-Men storyline they keep making terrible movies out of, and it keeps pinging in search engines.
Jean?
Look! Jean. Still better than either of the actual X-Men movies. Anyway, with the King of Hell having been defeated at the conclusion of the previous film, Hell Virgin Ashura is now free to walk the earth doing whatever in the care of her demon-fighting Buddhist exorcist companions, with Yenbao returning as only in the movie's co-protagonist Peacock, while Kujaku is now played by Hiroshi Abe, an actor who fans of Japanese film and television have probably seen around, but I have a feeling Westerners who follow this show in particular might recognize most immediately as Katagiri, the guy who made the best exit ever from a Godzilla movie.
I've never seen Godzilla this close before.
Anyway, all is not well with Ashura because this is a Hong Kong movie from the early 90s based on Japanese action comics from any period in history.
唔好倒轉撥啊！咁會招嚟災禍嘅，知嘛？
So our ostensibly all-powerful female lead is also a blithering idiot who constantly imperils the world simply by existing, if not supervised by men at all times.
小受，我已經唔再係地獄聖女啦，你哋唔好再跟住我啦。咁就不就我。你哋快啲讓開！
Summoned to the nearest Buddha shrine, the local high monk and team of sexy warrior abbesses inform the heroes that heaven has decreed since Ashura is still technically the magical girl Antichrist, she is therefore too dangerous to just let wander around causing the apocalypse all the time, so they're supposed to imprison her inside a giant golden Buddha where her powers can be safely contained for the rest of her life.
師傅，實嚟，請望開一面啦。
三輪令，執行法旨。係。
大師，神嚟，無論點樣都唔可以俾我返黑媽媽嘅地方生活㗎。
Seems a little extreme to me, but either way, she argues her way down to a reprieve of 7 more days worth of sightseeing on Earth so she can at least say goodbye to her not previously mentioned best friend, an annoying demon imp named Genie who does fart jokes because 90s movie. Also, the 3 hot nuns are supposed to follow her and the 2 heroes around and just take her out if she uses her hell powers again.
必要時殺死亞修羅，都唔可以俾佢重返魔界。
Elsewhere, Hell itself has a new queen, and she also wants to get her hands on Ashura's powers before they're securely locked up. Fortunately for the good guys, Hell's forces are apparently down to just these 6 or 7 guys, so probably not that much of a problem.
The Springfield police had told me that 91% of all traffic accidents are caused by you 6 guys.
違避謀殺，我哋馬上將聖女帶到。
But they do manage to trap Peacock in a block of ice and turn Genie into stone, which through a variety of plot contrivances eventually leads Kujaku, Genie, and Ashura spending most of the film hanging out with a brother-sister pair, the comedy male half of which has invented a teleportation machine that'll probably come in handy later on when they need to do a rescue mission to Hell.
唉，我都唔知點送你去，我唔知地獄喺邊啊！
施主啊，快啲啦，救人一命勝造七級浮屠㗎。
得啦，公主，如果我知點就義不容辭啦。
Otherwise, we're kind of doing a milder version of the first movie. There's monster business,
小鬼，你快啲去。 吸晒阿修羅啲真氣翻嚟。
妖獸好多。
battle scenes. cringy comedy. Hong Kong Cheesecake for more cringy comedy.
Hey，三位公主，乜咁早啊？咁早嚟探我哋啊？一齊玩啦！
唔玩啊，施主，我哋有正經嘢要做嘅。
哦，去游水運動下都好正經㗎，讀神學院都有體育堂上㗎。
施主，我哋唔玩啊！
三位公主啊，你哋着住啲爛衫瞓喺半空度啊，好危險㗎喎！
請施主指教。
我怕而家大概有100幾十人揸住望遠鏡參觀緊你哋啊！
咁施主有何高見呢？
啊，計我話咧，落水係最安全噶啦。
唔該晒，多謝施主賜教。
咪住，嗱，唔使咁心急，你哋咁落水唔得噶喎，游水咧梗係要換套游水衫噶啦，係咪？
咩話？游水衫？
嗱，我係一個致力為人類服務嘅科學家，就算游水衫咁濕碎嘅嘢，我都搞得掂噶。你哋換咗佢，舒服一下啦，吓。
And another big finale featuring another pretty impressive giant monster prop, which this time looks like a full-size, partially inflatable puppet being worked from overhead like a massive marionette, which must have been just a heck of a thing to be on set with.
係咁啦。我哋3個人一齊用孔雀大法。
好。
It probably goes without saying that Ashura gets a final reprieve from her fate to set up some potential sequels, but in this case, they did in fact stop at 2 of these.
我希望識晒全世界嘅好人啊
You've always been a really good friend to me.
That's what everyone wants to hear.
氣鬼，我哋走啦！
唔知阿修羅而家去邊啊？去邊度都好咧，只要有太陽嘅地方就有阿修羅。
What is mine? No matter. What is matter? Never mind.
It's not exactly a giant shock why neither Peacock King movie never made its way officially westward, even if you know the material and cultural reference points. They're both almost completely incomprehensible. Designed as star vehicles for their very specific time and place in Hong Kong popular cinema, there's lots of reference jokes to other movie stars and other films the characters have made, things going on in other TV shows, movies, and politics in Japan and Hong Kong at the same time, but as time capsule spectacles, they're definitely something, and both are much easier to see now than they've been in the past, so if you think you've burned your way through the A-list of what East Asian cult cinema has to offer, you can certainly do worse than these in terms of what the second tier is all about. And there are some very impressively inventive effects going on. No one else ever really did these quite like Lam Nai Kai did.
You哋冇事啊嘛？
頭，你啲 friend 嚟㗎。
In any case, that concludes Schlocktober/Schlockvember for this year. I hope you guys enjoyed, despite or perhaps along with the extended length. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.